We have seen in the definition for for rational numbers and irrational numbers that there is no specific definition to define what an irrational number is. When we have to figure out whether a number is, if we have to figure out whether a number is irrational, we simply figure out whether it is rational or not. If it is rational, then it's if it is not rational, then it is an irrational number. So given a question like this where we have to prove that root 2 is irrational, we cannot go by definition of an irrational number. So we prove this thing by the method of assumption, method of contradiction, by first assuming that root 2 is rational. When we assume that root 2 is rational, and if we go on to contradict our assumption that it is rational, that means it will be irrational. So how do we proceed with it? Let root 2 be rational. If root 2 is rational, then root 2 can be written in the form p by q, right, where p, q belong to integers and are co-primes. What are co-prime numbers and why did we write this? The definition of a rational number that you have studied is that any number that can be written in the form p by q, where p and q are integers and q not equal to 0 is a rational number. There was no mention of a co-prime there, but here we are mentioning it. Why? What is the reason behind it? When you write co-prime, this will make the p by q form the standard form of a rational number. What is the standard form? For example, you have the number 1 by 3. It is a rational number because it is of the form p by q, where p and q are integers and q not equal to 0. What about the number 2 by 6? This is also a rational number, but the factors can be cancelled out and it becomes 1 by 3. So the standard form of the number 2 by 6 is actually 1 by 3. So any number, any rational number, when its common factors are cancelled out, the resulting form that you get is called the standard form of that rational number, and in that standard form the p and q, they both will be integers and will share no common factor other than 1. Here the common factor was 2. In the standard form, the p and q will share no other common factor other than 1, and in this form the numbers p and q are co-prime, that is, they do not share, do not have a common factor other than 1. Any two numbers which do not have a common factor other than 1 are called co-primes. So when I say that p by root 2 is rational, therefore root 2 is equal to p by q, where p, q belong to integer, q not equal to 0, and I add this, that the p and q are co-prime, which means I am writing here the standard form of the rational number root 2. Okay, so any number, any rational number will have its standard form. Here it is required, we will come to it in the next stage. So if this is true, which implies root 2q is equal to p, I cross multiply, or we can square both the sides. So when we square both the sides, we get 2q square is equal to p square. Now p square is equal to 2 into some integer. Q is an integer, so q square will also be an integer. So p square is equal to 2 into q square, which means p square has a factor 2. Therefore p square is divisible by 2. When p square is divisible by 2, p is also divisible by, we can conclude from here that p is also divisible by 2. For any number to be divisible by 2, we can say that it is of the form 2m, where m belongs to an integer. P is equal to 2m. Because it is divisible by 2, therefore 2 will be a factor in p. So this is what we have written. This is the general form, where m is any integer. Let this be equation 1. Now p is equal to 2m can be substituted here. So what will this become? 2q square is equal to 2m square. 2m square will become 4m square. You cancel out 2 here. So you get q square is equal to 2m square. When q square is equal to 2m square, just like we did here, we can say that q square is divisible by 2. Therefore, q is divisible by 2. Therefore, q can be written as 2 into n, the standard form. Since q is divisible by 2, so 2 is a factor of q, hence q can be written as q is equal to 2n. Let this be equation 2. What do we have from 1 and 2? From 1 and 2, we have p is equal to 2m, q is equal to 2n. Hence, p and q have a common factor 2. What we have concluded here is p and q will both have a common factor 2. If p and q both have a common factor 2, that means p and q are not coprimes. But what did we assume? We assumed that p and q are coprimes. What we ended up getting? That p and q cannot be coprimes. So our assumption, therefore, our assumption is wrong. And what was our assumption? That root 2 is rational. So if our assumption that root 2 is rational is wrong, therefore root 2 is irrational. So this is how you prove that root 2 is irrational. In fact, any number of the form root n where n is not a perfect square is going to be an irrational number. You can try doing this same question with root 3 and you will find that p and q will both have a common factor 3 in that case. If you take root n and you proceed, you will end up getting that p and q both have a common factor n in that case. And this is the way you prove that a number of the form root n where n is not a perfect square is an irrational number. Now the next topic is representing a number of the form root x on a number line. Representing an integer or a natural number is very easy. In fact, some of the fractions can also be easily represented. But the problem comes in representing irrational numbers because you cannot locate irrational numbers on a scale. So it's very difficult to mark them on a number line easily. So you would need geometry to do that. For example, let's start with representing the number root 2 on a number line. How do we go about it? There will be a number line. There will be an origin. You take one unit. You mark this point here. You take a perpendicular here. Mark 1 unit here. You join these two. What do you get? You get a right angle triangle where the base is 1, the perpendicular is 1, so the hypotenuse would be root 2. So you know that the distance from this point to this point is root 2. So you take your compass, mark an arc here, and wherever it cuts, that point is going to be root 2. Why? Because with O as the center, you are trying to construct a circle. So any point on this arc will be at a distance of root 2 from O. So the point where it cuts the number line, OA would also be the radius of that circle and its value would be root 2 because the root 2 here would be same as root 2 here. So OA is root 2. What if you have to mark root 3 here? What if you have to mark root 3? In that case, you have this root 2. At this point after marking root 2, if you draw another perpendicular, mark another 1 unit here, what do you have? Another right angle triangle here? This is root 2, this is 1. So it will be 2 plus 1. The hypotenuse would be root 3. So now you take the center at O, your compass here, mark an arc. Wherever it cuts, this OB will become root 3. So this is how you can proceed. Marking out simple numbers like root 2, root 3 or root 5 could be easy this way, right? But the problem would come when the number is too huge. For example, if you're pointing out root 5, a smart way if you're using this method would be a regular guy would keep on marking perpendiculars until you get root 5. A smart guy would mark OA as 2 and here you mark, you draw a perpendicular and mark 1 and join this. This will be a hypotenuse whose value will be root 2 square plus 1 square which is root 5. So root 5 can be easily done rather than going the long route. You can also attempt this you can mark out these points and figure it out. But the problem is not when you are marking numbers like root 2, root 3 or root 5. The problem comes when you are asked to mark a point root 17. If you have to find the point root 17, or worse still, if you have to point out root 8.6, how are you going to do that? Then you have a general method that you use to mark out to represent the number root of the form root x on a number line, which is very beneficial. Let's see what it is. First I'll explain the steps, then I'll explain the rationale or the proof behind it. So what you do is, if you have to mark out root x, so x would be 17 here and x will be 8.6 if you are marking root 8.6. So what you do is, in the first step, you take the origin, or this won't be the origin. You have to mark the first point as initial point as a. You mark x distance as O. So you have mark AO is equal to x units. You forget the square root sign. Whatever the number is there inside the square root, you take that much distance on your scale and you mark it out. At O, you extend this line by 1 unit. So extend AO to B such that OB is equal to 1 unit. So you have 1 unit. Now this line AB, you take its perpendicular bisector. So you find the midpoint of AB. So the third step is find midpoint of AB at C. Alright, so you find the midpoint of AB at C. You can draw the perpendicular bisector. If you are not using that, then you can simply find out what AB is and mark out the midpoint by a simple division. Then you take C as the center and you draw a circle with AB as diameter. So taking C as center and AC as radius, mark a semicircle. So you have a semicircle here. After the semicircle, from the point O that you had located earlier, you draw a perpendicular. This perpendicular, let it be D. So draw perpendicular at O to touch semicircle at D. After that, taking O as center and OD as radius, draw an arc, and OE will be the required point. So the sixth step is O as center and OD as radius, draw arc, point E is the, OE is root, what you get is OE will become root x. So the first step was, given you have to represent root x, you draw AO equal to x, you forget the square root sign, O extended to B such that OB is equal to 1. So you have AB now, take the midpoint of AB, with this as the center and AC as radius, you draw a semicircle, so it will pass through A and B. From O you draw a perpendicular, let it cut here at D, take OD as radius, mark an arc, OE will be root x. So this is the step that you follow. Now we will be getting into how we could figure out that this is root x. Now look here, what do we have here? We have AB is equal to how much? AB is equal to, we have AB equal to AO plus OB is equal to x plus 1 centimeters, right? X plus 1 units. What is CD? CD is equal to AB by 2. Why? CD is the radius of the semicircle, AB is the diameter, so CD will be half of AB. So this CD will be x plus 1 by 2. Alright. Now, what is this distance OC? Your OC will be BC minus OB, right? OC will be this entire thing. BC minus OB will give you OC. What is BC? BC is same as AB. AC and BC and CD are all same. So BC is how much? X plus 1 by 2. AB is x plus 1, so BC is half of it. So it will be x plus 1 by 2 minus OB was 1 unit that we had extended it by. So you have x minus 1 by 2. So you have CD and OC. Now take the triangle OCD. In triangle OCD, what do you have? CD square is equal to OD square plus OC square. Or you have OD square is equal to CD square. CD square is how much? X plus 1 by 2 whole square by 4 minus OC square, which is x minus 1 whole square by 4. So you have x plus 1 whole square minus x minus 1 whole square divided by 4. If you take the LCM is equal to, this is a plus b into a minus b. So how much do we get? A plus b into a minus b. 1 would cancel out, x would cancel out. So you have 2x into 2, you have 4x by 4. 4 cancels out. So you have OD equal to root x. Here we have OD square is equal to x. Therefore OD is equal to root x. If OD is root x, if you take this as the radius and you draw, then OD is equal to OE, as they both are radius, or they are both equal because the same radius is taken. So OD is equal to OE. Therefore OE turns out to be root x, and this is what we had to mark out. So O is the origin, and the point E here on this number line is going to represent, OE is going to represent the distance root x. So if O is the origin, E is the point that represents the point root x. So this is a general method that you use for drawing for representing any number of the form root x on a numbered line. So you must remember this method.